Tom here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video, and the reports coming from Italy say that Liverpool are interested in Barella, the world-class Italian midfielder who is just 25 years old, is on Liverpool's radar, and apparently we are offering Naby Keita in exchange. The big question is, what would the transfer fee be? And also, do you think Liverpool should get rid of Naby Keita? There is still no contract extension for Naby Keita in place, but apparently Liverpool are negotiating with him, and I really am a big fan of Naby Keita, and I think he can succeed at Liverpool still. He had a really up and down career, but I think his last season was his best season for Liverpool, so I don't really want Liverpool to get rid of him. On the other hand, if Liverpool really think that Barella would be the brilliant transfer, and I think he would be, and he provides an alternative to Jude Bellingham, and he would be somewhat cheaper than Bellingham. I think Liverpool could get him for around 70-75 million pounds, even though Inter don't really want to sell him. But if we could throw in Naby Keita and lower the transfer fee by another 30-35 million, then I think that would be a really feasible transfer structured this way. Naby Keita only has 12 months left on his contract, so if Liverpool want to get rid of him, it's better to offer him in this deal. And then Naby Keita plus maybe 30-35 million. If that's the actual transfer deal, then I would actually go for it. And Jurgen Klopp also was very complimentary of Barella. Liverpool played Inter in the Champions League, we knocked them out, and before the first leg of the tie in February, Jurgen Klopp said this about Barella: he's a really good player and I like him a lot. He has all the things you want from a midfield player. He's aggressive, he's technical, he can run for ages and all these kind of things. That's a top class player. And I think when Inter missed him in one of the legs, I think he missed the second leg because of a yellow card and a suspension, Jurgen Klopp also singled him out, and I remember this vividly, that Liverpool have a bigger chance of progressing because Barella won't play against Liverpool. So Jurgen Klopp is clearly a very big fan of Barella, and some Liverpool rumor websites has even claimed that Barella and Liverpool have negotiated contract terms. And Barella, of course, is an Italian international. He already played 39 games for Italian national team, scoring 8 goals. He also won quite a lot of trophies with Inter, and in total he already played 302 games competitively for his professional sides, and his current market value according to Transfermarkt is around 70 million euros. His main position, of course, is a centre midfielder. He's a box-to-box midfielder, but he can play as a number 10, as an attacking midfielder, or he can play as a defensive midfielder if it is needed as well. But his contract expires in 2026, so that's why his transfer market value is so high. He still has another 4 years left on his contract. He started off his career at the Cagliari Academy, and then he went to Como on loan, and then of course he went to Inter for a pretty big transfer fee, around 28 million pounds. And in total he has 22 goals and 41 assists. And last season he was more of a provider than a goal scorer. Inter didn't really have the best of seasons. They failed to win the Serie A title. But Barella still got 13 assists and 4 goals in 47 games. And this is very significant that he has been playing very regularly, so he's not an injury prone player. And I just realized that he missed actually both games in the Champions League against Liverpool because of a red card suspension. So he got a 2-game suspension, so he missed both games where Inter eventually got knocked out. And his record in the last 6 Serie A games is absolutely phenomenal, because he either scored or assisted in all 6 games. He got 5 assists and 1 goal in the last 6 games, and if you count the last 8, he got 6 assists and 1 goal. And so in the title run-in, he was instrumental in Inter almost winning every single game, but they drew with the Sampdoria, Atalanta, and they lost to Lazio. So in the end, that cost Inter the Serie A title. But Barella was really an influential player. And as I said, he had this really hot streak at the end of the season where he either scored or assisted in every single game in the last 6 Serie A games for Inter. So Liverpool are really hopeful that they can negotiate a transfer deal with Inter, but as I said, because Barella has another 4 years left on his contract, it would take a monumental transfer fee, or it would take a big transfer fee plus somebody like Naby Keita to convince Inter to let Barella go. And also a big question, does Barella want to leave his home country? Italy, it's not his hometown club, Inter, but Italy is his home, and does he want to leave? So far we haven't really seen anything to indicate that he does, but I think Inter right now are not in a position to challenge for the Champions League, and Barella, of course, the winner he would love to play for a club who can challenge for the Champions League. And Kevin Campbell, who is working as a pundit in England, has said this about Barella. Barella is a fabulous player. It would be smart if Liverpool do that deal, especially if they lose Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain or Naby Keita. Liverpool will need reinforcements in midfield. They have to make sure their squad is deep enough to combat injuries. Barella is a very good player. If they could do that business, it would certainly strengthen them. Listen, if you look at last season, Liverpool played in every game that they could. That means there is minutes for everybody, and there certainly would be for a player like Barella. Jurgen Klopp needs to be able to utilize a big squad, but also Liverpool have to strike a very good balance, because you don't also want to bring in too many senior players, so there is not enough playing time for the likes of Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Fabio Carvalho, Tyler Morton, and maybe other young players that Liverpool are trying to bring through. Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp instinctually wants to build a squad that is just big enough to compete on all fronts, but also which is small enough so that the young players who I mentioned already and others can get playing time. And if there are injuries, of course it's a risky strategy because it can backfire. But I think Liverpool are now more equipped than ever to cope with an injury crisis, because we have probably the biggest and most versatile and strongest squad in Liverpool's history, and that is credit to Jurgen Klopp and the Liverpool recruitment team, how they structured and built this Liverpool squad in the last 3 years. I think we have been really remarkable on this front. And Glenn Johnson, the former Liverpool right back, also said that Barella would be a good addition for Liverpool. To score goals and get assists isn't easy, despite the fact he hasn't done it in the Premier League. When somebody's technically very good and he can either score or assist a goal regularly, then you don't expect them to struggle. The more players on the pitch that can help contribute towards the goal is good for the squad. But I don't think Glenn Johnson regularly watches the Serie A, and I think whoever watches Inter regularly, I only watch their highlights, but lots of journalists and lots of people who watch the Serie A regularly have been raving about Barella, saying that he's one of the best midfielders Italy has produced in the last 20 years, and he's also one of the best midfielders in the Serie A. Is it worth it for the big transfer fee? I don't really know. I'm not a Serie A expert, I will admit that to you guys. So let me know if somebody maybe who is an Inter fan or who watches Inter regularly, full 90 minutes, if you can weigh in whether Barella is really worth around 70-80 million pounds in total for the Liverpool right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And Glenn Johnson also said that losing Sadio Mane, they are big shoes to fill. But Liverpool seem to get it right every time with the transfers, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Darwin Nunez hit the ground running. The way they do their recruitment, Liverpool, is special. Let's face it, a year ago most of us wouldn't have known who Nunez was, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Everyone is talking about Erling Haaland, but it wouldn't surprise me if Darwin Nunez is just as effective. I think you can't really expect him to be as good as Erling Haaland from day one, but he has huge potential, Darwin Nunez. He's only 22 years old, so let's give him time and let's see how he develops and grows. And also Liverpool need to, of course, learn how to get the best out of him, which takes time as well. The only concern is Diogo Jota's injury, because Jurgen Klopp has recently ruled him out for the Community Shield final against Manchester City, which is not really a concern because that game is on July the 30th, so it's pretty soon. But Alisson is recovering better than Jota, and he could play in the Community Shield final. He said Alisson has a chance for the game against Man City, Diogo Jota not. With Ali it's nothing serious, but we are preparing for the whole season. It's just not ideal. He can't do goalie training with it and he shouldn't play in this moment, but he can still do some other things, some gym work. These things happen, only a little thing, but we have to be careful with him. And Diogo Jota is very unlucky. He had an injury from the end of last season. He trained fully and then he got injured again. That's really not cool. Now we have to wait for the results. He had the assessment and it's the same area, the same hamstring that Diogo Jota injured on the last Portugal game in the Nations League. And so that's not ideal. It really disrupts Diogo Jota's pre-season, but hopefully he can recover quickly, and if he will not be ready for the first game of the Premier League season on August the 8th, I think Liverpool play against Fulham, or August the 6th, something like that, then I expect Darwin Nunez to start up front, and hopefully by then Liverpool will get a little bit more accustomed to how Darwin Nunez plays. And Neil Jones, the Liverpool correspondent, also said that Jurgen Klopp rates Barella very highly. Whoever is eventually targeted from Liverpool in the midfield area, they are likely to fit a certain profile. Liverpool broke from their usual strategy to sign Thiago, who is an established star in his late 20s, early 30s from Bayern Munich in 2020. They have been very much back on brand since, with the arrivals of Jota, Konate, Luis Diaz, Darwin Nunez, Carvalho and Ramsey. We can expect that to continue going forward. So that means Liverpool won't sign a midfielder who is close to 30. Barella is 25 and I think he would be a pretty awesome signing. The big question is the money, as I said. Liverpool don't really desperately need a midfielder right now, and for that amount I would certainly wait one more year and sign Bellingham instead. I think Bellingham fits Liverpool's profile more. He's also English. He could become our next Steven Gerrard, our next Jordan Henderson, our next leader, our next brilliant player. So if I had a choice between Barella and Bellingham, I would certainly choose the latter. But I'm not, of course, making the decisions. I'm just giving you my opinion. And I would also love to hear from you guys what you think. Jurgen Klopp also claimed that selling Sadio Mane is necessary for Liverpool's evolution. We didn't really want to sell him, but Mane decided he wants a new challenge, he wants to leave. And Jurgen Klopp said, we didn't only lose Sadio, we also lost Divock Origi and Minamino just from the playing squad. And it is necessary. Some other players might leave as well, but we brought in Luis Diaz in the winter, we brought in Darwin Nunez, Fabio Carvalho, Calvin Ramsey. It is really exciting because the boys are fresh, full of excitement, big eyes being together with us. So it just changes the dynamic in the group. And it's really necessary. I'm now in my 7th season and it's important that we don't just do the same thing again and again and again. We have to push ourselves to the next level, and for that you always need a new input, and that's what we got. So this evolution by Liverpool, I think, is really necessary, that Liverpool freshen up the team, freshen up the squad. You can't just go with the same team year after year and expect to win everything. Also, you have to strengthen when you are on top, and Liverpool are certainly one of the top teams in Europe, and it's the best way to keep freshening up the squad so the squad doesn't go stale. That's my opinion, but let me know what is yours in the comments below. And also Adrian said that Luis Diaz's first season was incredible, but he will be even better this season. I think he adapted really well to the team. The moment he stepped on the pitch, he did really well, but it's the first preseason. The Latin group is growing with Darwin Nunez as well. We will try to help them as much as possible with the adaptation. Darwin will also have to learn some easy, quick and some easy and quick English on the pitch, but football is a universal language. Luis in his first season with us was incredible. We hope he keeps it going like that, and Darwin adapts quickly as well. Luis Diaz never stops. He's very lively, he's very creative, he's dribbling, he's shooting, he's always running. He's a top player. He showed it already in the first season. This season is going to be important because he put the level quite high. Now he has to keep that level or even improve it. and I'm sure that he will. And he reminds me a little bit of Luis Suarez. In his first 2 seasons, Suarez hit the post so many times and he missed so many chances, but then he exploded, and in his last 2 seasons at Liverpool he scored 30 plus goals. I'm not saying that Darwin Nunez will score 30 plus goals next season or this season, but what I will say is that he has the potential to score a lot of goals if he just tweaks his finishing a little bit. I mean, in just the preseason game against Man United, Darwin Nunez I think hit the post twice, so I expect big things from the guy next season or this season, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.